I'm just going to say a few words because I think we should get into dialogue and exchange and talk. So I came at this conference, I'm a physician, a scientist, and I have, you might be sitting there thinking, well, I'm involved in the law, I'm a judge, I have a steep learning curve because I don't know the neuroscience, or I'm doing the empirical neuroscience, I have a steep learning curve because I'm not so sure about the law. I don't know either because I neither do empirical work in this area, nor do I know anything about the law. So it's been both fascinating and a double steep learning curve for me. Why I'm involved is of course, because I'm involved with the Brainwaves project, which is primarily about taking these areas and looking at the implications for policy. And I guess when I do work in that area, by temperament, I'm interested in action and thinking about what can be done. And one way I've reflected upon what I've learned in the last couple of days is to think, if you like, from the perspective of funder, or what if I had a lot of money? What would I put this into now, knowing what I know now, and where would we go from here? And I think it's difficult. In some ways, I wonder if the issues we're focused on in the courtroom are not the issues where there's going to be maximum impact. It's going to be either, as it were, upstream from when the criminal behavior has taken place and the courtroom action is going on, or downstream in terms of treatment and prevention of recidivism. So, in terms of the neuroscience, I think all the neuroscience talks have given a glimpse of the potential power of neuroimaging, and they've focused quite a lot on neuroimaging, perhaps to the exclusion of other sorts of technologies and other sorts of emerging technologies, both in terms of brain stimulation devices or implants, all sorts of things that are going on the sort of technology side, as well as perhaps sometimes drifting a little bit away from the fact that the primary purpose of neuroimaging is, of course, to understand the relationship between the brain and behavior. And several people have emphasized or drawn us back to behavior as the thing we're talking about at the end of the day, and the brain imaging is only useful in that context to the extent that it can help us understand the processes underlying or behind the behavior. And that's all for me been tempered by the realization that law is about the behavior and what you've done, not necessarily about what's happening in your brain. And so even if one could come up with a full neuroscientific explanation of how a particular action came to pass, I'm not sure, as a relatively naive outsider, the impact that would have on the law. So as a funder, I was in my sort of funder hat on. I don't have any money, so I'm not giving anyone any money, but thinking in that kind of frame. I was personally struck a little bit more by, as I said, the upstream effects. How can we understand the proximate causes of behavior in development, or in terms of the interaction of social context on individuals, whether juvenile or adult or whatever, and how can that lead us to frame the controls and prohibitions and all the other things that we put in place in society with the aim of reducing criminal or criminal behavior. And I was also struck as well about it seemed a relative paucity of with honourable exceptions, of downstream attempts to prevent or change or alter behavior and prevent recidivism, which may be a feature of the particular country we're in. Planet Europe may be different. I'm not sure. But even then, I wonder if enough is being done to understand the neuroscience of how to alter behavior or prevent future recidivism. So those are some of my pseudo-random, put together at high speed over coffee as I learnt I was to be on the panel and say something. I hope they're helpful. I've really enjoyed the conference. I think it's been intellectually one of the most stimulating things I've been involved with for a while, which may just be a comment on I need to get out more. But those are my comments. Thank you very much.